This is the New York City FC Pregame Live. Today, New York City look to close out the first round of the MLS Cup playoffs against Charlotte FC. And now, here are your hosts, Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
Indeed. Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, New York for Game 2, the best-of-3 opening round playoff series between the New York City Football Club and Charlotte FC. 10 games have been played thus far in the MLS postseason in 2025, and only one team won a game on the road, and that was Tuesday night. New York City topping Charlotte by the score of 1-0. Well, good afternoon. It's a day game, a little matinee action here in the Bronx. I'm Glenn Crooks, Matty Lawrence here, and we've got the live radio commentary coming up a little bit later on. Our pregame show begins at 3:15 with head coach Pascal Janssen, and then 3:42 is the new MLS Apple TV kickoff time. Apparently, from what we've heard, it will now be 12 minutes after the announced time. It's always like 4 o'clock, 3:30. They always go top or bottom of the hour. Now you'll add 12 minutes to get to the kickoff. But that's not the most important thing here. Matty, we have more.
I'm the most important thing. You're right.
Yes,
you're
yes.
Right. Yeah.
Well, but playoff football is the most important thing. And so we're going to review this last game a little bit, but just at the top, before we get to Wilfried Zaha back in the 11 for Charlotte FC, and then look to see if New York City has made any changes to their 11. What is the significance of winning on the road? It was rare in these opening games, obviously.
Yeah, it's incredibly rare. Certainly incredibly rare to win without a penalty shootout. That's for certain. And what's it mean? It means you can come home to your own fortress and with a good, solid home performance, because we know it's difficult for Charlotte to come on the road and play here where they're not used to the surroundings. It's just made it much easier to progress through to the next round, and without the need to go back down to Charlotte as well. It doesn't mean that is going to happen. It's still a two-horse race out there, but you do have the advantage. You're starting a furlong ahead of the opposition because you're in these intimate surroundings that you know so well. You know how good you are at home, and you know that Charlotte struggle on the road as well. I think the important thing is how good Charlotte were at home, and the NYCFC went down there and did a professional job. Yep. Charlotte were the joint best team at home in all of MLS. In all of MLS, they're the joint best.
And New York City had never won there before, including earlier this year.
Absolutely. Yep. So that's the important thing. The win, the 1-0 up in the series, that they've got the momentum as well. They're playing well, but of course we know with Charlotte, they're getting one of their best players back. He is one of their best players because he is their DP, and he is somebody who's played a number of years in the Premier League or in the Turkish top flight or in the French top flight, played for Ivory Coast internationally as well. The guy's good, Wilfried Zaha. We know he has his downsides, as does anybody as a human or as an athlete. But look, Wilfried Zaha is a big positive for Charlotte coming back. But 1-0 up in terms of the series, and so good here at home, and feeling more confident as well, I think, NYCFC, than Charlotte will. That's just human emotion, human psychology, isn't it? Sporting psychology. You're 1-0 up, and it could be half-time, isn't it?
And we'll get to Zaha a little bit more just in a few minutes, but we're looking at Yankee Stadium. Yeah. And one thing I want to point out is we know the Yankees play here, but they were eliminated fairly early in the postseason by Toronto, who has a chance to win the World Series. And so the normal sod that is lifted and then put back down, lifted and then put back down around that infield area, it's in better shape now. Yeah. And here's the reason why. They shave all the grass down. Matt Pellegrino, part of our operations team, explained the whole thing to me, and you can see they're watering that area quite heavily at the moment. First of all, they've trimmed down the mound, which you can see. There's 2 blue circles. The smaller one, that's where the pitcher's mound, and they usually leave that at its whatever level the mound is. And but they've trimmed that down, and they've cut the grass out and made the dirt part of the infield all level before they laid the sod back down. So it's a much more even surface today, and it looks it.
It does. It looks almost perfect in terms of colour as well. We know it's not going to be completely, but it's a little topsy-turvy out there sometimes, isn't it, in terms of that grass being laid on the infield, as you say. It's going to make for a better playing surface, that's for certain. I don't think that's going to particularly benefit either team particularly. It's just going to make the ball maybe roll more evenly. Everybody has to deal with it, whether it's a topsy-turvy surface up and down or whether it's a flat surface. What it is good for is the fact that it's certainly going to cut down the risk of injury, isn't it? Because that sod has taken much better and is laid down very, very, very nicely there. But yeah, it's going to make for a better sporting spectacle, that's for sure.
All right, so the lineups are out. I'm scrolling in the lower third here of your screen, the New York City starting 11. And Matty, no changes. And I'm going to play a clip from Pascal Janssen in a moment. But when we saw the lineup come out last time, we saw the members of the lineup. We figured that Andres Perea would be on that left side in that half space or the left wing position because Pascal Janssen has introduced that during the course of the season on a couple of occasions. But indeed, it was not. He kept Perea in the midfield. Raul Gustavo played left back, and Kevin O'Toole was a more attacking presence, more so than he ever has been at the start of the game. He was on the left wing.
Yeah, I think Kevin O'Toole did a really good job. And obviously it worked out. The game plan worked out, whether that's purely Pascal Janssen or whether it's Pascal Janssen with his coaching staff. Whatever it is, it worked. For me, the only worry was Raul Gustavo at left back. I thought he had his poorest game for the club. I know he's only been here a little while, but I don't think he has benefited from flip-flopping from left centre-half to left back. I think when you come to a new club, a new country, new everything, you want to be in the same position and get used to the league in one position. I think that flip-flopping has hurt him. No surprise there's no changes because the winning side, why would you change a winning side, Glenn? But I do think...
you're in a different facility, Yankee Stadium, and sometimes people prepare their teams in a different way.
Look, I'm going to contradict that statement by saying that I think if I was the manager, the head coach today, I would push Gustavo inside to left centre-half. I would push O'Toole back to left-back. I would put Hack up in place of Aidan O'Neill. It'd be tough to leave Aidan O'Neill out.
See, that's where I would disagree.
Then I'd put Ojeda on the left-hand side and maybe switch him and Fernandez Macau as the game progresses.
I hear that. Yeah, it's an interesting development because the dilemma is if Justin Hack goes into the midfield, you're not taking Andres Perea out. He's playing some of his best football since he's been with the club. And Aidan O'Neill was pretty sharp the other night. You know, after maybe we understand that he was had played a lot of minutes. In fact, he's played 15 straight months of football. 15 consecutive months, and he has shown it at times. But I thought there was a freshness to him.
I thought he played well. But the good thing for me saying that would be my lineup is the fact that Aidan O'Neill did play well. But I would counter that by saying there's no way you can leave out Justin Hack or Andres Perea.
Well, no.
Hack has been magnificent all season, wherever you've asked him to play. And Perea is in some of the best form of his NYCFC career since he came on loan, since when he was playing for his future. He was fantastic in those few games when he was on loan, or not few games, that season when he was on loan. So, yes, that's a great thing to have, though, having to leave out a player. If I would do it, I'm not the head coach. Leave out a player who's playing well in Aidan O'Neill, and it also strengthens your bench. That would just be something I would do because of the problems.
The other side of it for me is Justin Hack. I like him at the back because he moves into the midfield seamlessly when they're in possession, and oftentimes when Hack is playing central defense, they're a three back in the attack.
Yes.
He's almost always moving forward, reading the possession.
Absolutely. Look, I don't mind where Justin Hack plays. He has been quite sensational this season. It's weird how that works, isn't it, when you're running towards the end of your contract? Didn't Aaron Judge do it when he was running down the end of his contract? He had the season of his life, and just as he was re-upping his contract. Justin Hack the same, and why not? You've got that extra little bit of motivation. You know you're playing for your career, for your livelihood. For that next contract. And yes, Justin Hack, I agree, at centre half, he does that job very well because he can just sort of transition and drift into that into that forward position as a midfielder, and everything mushrooms from that, doesn't it? Let's be honest, from Hack moving in there, and he's provided or proved that he's very good on the ball as well. So
yeah, overloads in the midfield, overloads on the flank. Hey, let's listen to Pascal Janssen talk about this lineup. This was part of the pregame briefing, part of our pregame show coming up at 3:15 with the New York City gaffer regarding, again, O'Toole on the left. Let's get to Kevin O'Toole. Now, when the 11 comes out, every time we look at it, and oftentimes it's easy to diagnose who's going to be where. But this one came out without Hannes Wolf. So we predicted that Andres Pereira would be in that left wing or half space, whatever you want to describe, because you've done that in the past. But lo and behold, it's Kevin O'Toole playing in front of Raul Gustavo. So how did you come to that conclusion? Interesting choice, and it proved to be pretty effective.
Yeah, that's been part of our plan. That's something that we figured out as a staff in our staff room, looking at the previous games that we played against Charlotte, making sure that we have a good plan available going into this game. And Kevin is a player that can play on multiple positions. So you've seen him as a fullback. You've seen him as a third defender in build-up situations. You've seen him as a double six. When he's the fullback, he's able to go into the wide areas and provide us width. And now this role was a little higher on the pitch, and he did a great job.
I will say this, if you're a versatile player, you have a better chance of being in the 11 for Pascal Janssen. Raul Gustavo, Justin Hack, Kevin O'Toole. I mean, they're all good players, and they're having good seasons.
Macau can play anywhere in the front three or up top.
Yep. Julian Fernandez has played wide and in the middle, for instance. So there's his explanation. It looks like it's a how we play against Charlotte thing. That's the way he made it sound. You know, in the war room, this is what they've come up with.
No, I absolutely agree, and it certainly did have a positive effect down there in Charlotte, because it was the first game that NYCFC have ever won down there. You're absolutely right. I think a big part of it was down to how inept Charlotte were as well. And I know a lot of that was the high pressing, Glenn. I know that sometimes you force the opposition to be poor, but anybody has to admit that Charlotte were very, very poor. Abada was absolutely non-existent. Zaha was injured. Pep Biel, two of their best players, one injured, one suspended. So we said it before the game down in Charlotte, this is the right time. If you're ever going to come to Charlotte and win, this is the right time to do it, and they did. But I now agree with Pascal Janssen as well. If you don't want to change the side, don't change it. It proved to be successful down there, and it worked against this Charlotte structure. Nothing's going to change with the structure of Charlotte's side here today, just the personnel. Zaha will come in for Abada, but that will be it.
That's official too, yeah. Just one change for them. Zaha, who was suspended for the opening game for Abada. You'd have to look very closely, but Matt Freese and his keeper mates and the keeper coach Ron Bartugian are making their way out to that far goal, where eventually in those left field bleachers the supporters will be. Freese, his last shutout before the match against Charlotte on Tuesday night was against Charlotte on September the 20th in the Bronx. So it's now 10 clean sheets for Matt Freese this year. And, of course, that possibility of going to penalties. Not only is Matt Freese, does he have a history of doing well, but so does his counterpart, Christian Kalina. So if it does get to that level, and after 90 minutes of regulation, Matty, if it's tied, there's no extra time, it's right to penalties. But the other thing you'd want to look at is Charlotte's only had 2 draws all year. That's incredible. Have you ever heard of that?
No, not to such an extent, and not over an extended period, the whole season. As you say, it's very unusual. Quite often when you're playing away from home, not in this is a playoff, it's a little bit different. When you're playing the regular season, you want to grind out draws away from home. It's almost seen as a moral victory. For me, when I playing back home, if you go away to Newcastle, or away to Sunderland, or away to Middlesbrough or Sheffield United, something like that's seen as a great point to grind out going away from home and getting something and remaining unbeaten. But yeah, Charlotte just don't seem to have that in their DNA, or they haven't had throughout the 34-game regular season.
So let's go back to the last game for a moment, and I want Matt's opinion, although he certainly gave it during commentary. But in the 34th minute, Alonso Martinez scored the only goal of the game, and it was really fantastic, kind of a dreamy goal, and this is how you heard it. Our commentary, the English hometown radio commentary, the New York City FC radio network. Approaching the top of the area, and a little scissor kick by Tim Ream to clear off that curling ball intended for Martinez. Martinez will chase it down. He's 25 yards for the Charlotte goal, on the dribble, in the area, and works a 1-2 off of Ream, and then finishes. Oh my, Alonso Martinez, the mentality after he won the ball back, and I swear that was played off of Ream.
No, he played it one side and he ran the other.
Oh.
I think this is totally done on purpose for Martinez. Credit Pereira for winning the ball on the top of the 18-yard box. He heads it into Alonso Martinez and he just knocks it with the outside of the right. It's round Belanda. He knocks it round Belanda with the outside of the right and then finishes with the inside of the right.
I like the fact that you brought up Pereira there too, just winning that little ball in the air at the top of the box to keep it alive. Now, I asked Pascal this, and
we didn't like that he got the assist, though. Well, that's what we did. We couldn't agree on that. The winning a little flick on is an assist. But anyway, carry on.
I was going to talk about assists, like second assists, like FOTMOB does not consider second assists. So for them, Wilfred Zaha has 10 goals and 6 assists, but MLS has Zaha for 10 goals and 10 assists. Andres Pereira got an assist on it. Yes. That's ridiculous. It's funny because I was doing commentary on a college game last night, Rutgers University against Michigan State, and my co-commentator doesn't really do much college soccer, and he asked me, he goes, "What are all these second assists?" I said, "Well, welcome to the college game. That's a big part of the college game, but it also filters its way into MLS. But that should have been how many he beat 6 players. That is incredible. But let's focus on the goal. And have you ever seen, I hope it didn't happen to you, a striker, an attacking player, any player, put the ball around the defender, get it on the other side of him or her in the penalty area? That's really rare.
Yeah, not in such a tight area, which is inside the penalty area, and not when I was the centre half. I think when I was exposed one-on-one as a fullback, occasionally that may happen, but there's large expanses of ground. You can knock it 20 yards past a fullback and run round the other side as well. It's much easier to do that.
Which you've been begging Ojeda to do all year.
Exactly. So yes, I've seen that happen, and yes, unfortunately that's happened to me as well, but never in the penalty area. That is for certain. I've seen people nutmegged in the penalty area, and you run around and get it the other side, but to knock the ball, and it was done totally on purpose, as we saw, to knock it one side and one around the other.
Well, you did well with that. Danny Higginbotham on the Apple broadcast thought he had megged Malanda. It was really unclear to see. Yeah, and when Ream stuck his right leg out, that's where I thought it just accidentally hit him and came back. It was unbelievable.
Just genius, and it was, and I know what that word means, and it happens so infrequently. There's nothing wrong with calling that genius because it was in that spur of the moment. It doesn't mean that Alonso Martinez is a genius. That moment was absolutely genius in the way he made Malanda look like a hippopotamus there, didn't he? He just stood there. He was stuck in the mud. He didn't know what to do. And Malanda is a player that Middlesbrough have paid up, nearly $10 million for. And he made him look like a statue in the penalty area. So, it was quite sublime.
Well, here's what Dean Smith, the head coach of Charlotte FC, thought about the goal.
It was a good run, but it should have been dealt with. Yeah. You like that? It's a tough one because you're in the penalty box, so any planting of your foot is a possible penalty. But there was just no physical contact. I think the referee had already pretty much made it clear that he was allowing physical contact with their first chance with it was the one on Diani. So, go and make physical contact with players.
Yeah, interesting. Because you don't want to stick your leg out. If you stick your leg out, the guy tumbles. That's that kind of contact. We're pointing to the spot. But going shoulder to shoulder or getting your body involved, right?
And I think he makes such a good point there, Dean Smith, about the referee had proved his consistency.
Yeah.
We said it a number of times in the opening 15 minutes that players have got away with some really bad fouls, some rugged challenges that would normally warrant a yellow card, but he decided he wasn't going to referee that way. And we always say, I don't care about that. If you're going to be consistent, as long as it's the same for both sides, that's how you're interpreting the laws of the game. I'm all for it. And so, yeah, Dean Smith's absolutely right. Alonso Martinez really should have got a little buffeting outside of the penalty area.
Although all that, Kevin Rogers says it may be the best goal in club history. He's been around watching all the games, and then from Costa Rica, a little regard for our man Alonso Martinez, and I will also plug one more time Hudson River Blue. I did a little Q&A with Alonso. I thought the cutest question I asked is, when are we going to see a head ball goal? But you got into it a little bit. It's like, well, it's not necessary. I don't think we've seen the ball played in the air to him very often. Very limited, I would say.
Very rarely, that's for certain. Yeah. Did he have the header from? Was it he who had the header from about 12 or 14 yards out?
He did
when he should have almost overhead kicked or bicycle.
Yeah, that was not this game. That might have been the Seattle game.
The Seattle game. But yeah, that's it. But yes, very rarely are balls hung up to the back post or whipped in from the touch line. There's never those long raking crosses into the penalty area that players are allowed to attack. Quite often, we see our forward players get to the byline and then cut it back. It's quite often byline cut back to the penalty spot or the second 6-yard box, in between the top of the 6-yard box and the penalty spot, obviously. So yeah, it's just something that isn't required at the moment for Alonso Martinez. But granted, you want to be a fully rounded footballer, and those headed goals need to come at some point.
I want to play one more from Dean Smith, because I thought this was rather alarming, shocking, but he was talking about his own team. In the first half, New York City had the better of it. That's when Alonso scored. That's when the game was won. And here's what he said to his team. This was from a midweek presser ahead of this game too. And
I said to the players today, it didn't quite feel like last year's playoff game. There was an excitement last year when we was at home, and it felt more like an expectation, rather than the excitement of playing in a. We've worked really hard, 34 games to get a home game, and we've probably give that away, in the advantage of that away in the first half performance. But it was something that we'll look at and look back on, and hopefully we can go and get the win at the Yankee Stadium to make sure that we come back and do right now. Yeah, I mean, listen, we distributed 34,000 tickets and we got 21,000 there. And listen, the fans that were there made a really good noise, but it wasn't like the feeling, and the feeling wasn't like it was against Orlando at home last year. The playoffs is meant to be everything in the MLS, so I just felt we could have played Friday. Why not? Why couldn't Miami play Saturday? And you're going to get big attendances. I've got lots of people who live close to me who couldn't make the game because of their kids on a school night, and that's understandable. And I'm trying to support for our supporters. You know how much I cared about the supporters, and it would have been great to have a full lower bowl there, behind us for the game.
Yeah. All right, so Tuesday night football, Dean Smith not in favor of it, and they came back and they were certainly more energized or playoff ready in the second half, but it was too late.
Yeah, it was. And I like his honesty, because he's admitting that, and you can't rely on the fans to create the atmosphere. You as a player, we always used to say that when you're going out there, create your own atmosphere, because you may be playing away from home in front of only 20 of your own fans. Who knows?
Imagine COVID.
Yeah,
what you had to do then.
You have to create your own atmosphere as a player, and they didn't do that. I'm absolutely with him. Tuesday night seemed ridiculous to be playing them. Why not Friday night? Why not Saturday? Maybe it couldn't be Saturday because of the Carolina Panthers, but they certainly could have done it Friday night. The school night's another good thing. I think MLS wants to be all-encompassing, male, female, children, from young to old. And it's very, very hard to take a kid out of school on a school night, or for them to get home from school at 10 o'clock,
it's all right. One of the things I heard, though, Matty, and you mentioned the Carolina Panthers, there are time periods of preparation before and after to get the field ready. So that played a role. Yeah. Did it have to be Tuesday night? that would be, another consideration to discuss. Nonetheless, New York City gets the win 1-0, and now they're back home at Yankee Stadium. And I wonder, Matty, by the time kickoff rolls in, it's a bright, sunny sky. Whichever keeper is in that far left goal. Now, you have a choice on the coin flip which goal you want to defend. I'm picking the goal to the right.
Yeah.
Because the sun is going to be right in the eye, and it's a low sun, and it's eventually going to fall below the facade and the stadium here. But those are just little things. You just never know how that might impact the game.
No, and look, the goalkeeper will have to say on that. That is for certain. If the goalkeeper, be it Matt Fries or Kalina, tells their manager or tells the skipper, look, I can't see anything, you're automatically going to change things around. It's an absolutely valid and a good point, Glenn.
It's the New York City keepers who are warming up in that end. And Matty, I posted what I thought was a very nice picture of Yankee Stadium as I came in to the stadium, and there was a reply to the post, and I'll put it up here. It's from Griffin Case. So I said, beautiful day for a game, and then he said, I'm hoping the attendance will compare to the playoff match in 2021 versus Atlanta. So, of course, had to look up and see what that attendance was. 25,267, Griffin. That's how many were here back in 2021, which was the only home playoff game that New York City had in that postseason 2021 and the eventual MLS Cup title. That could very well be the case. If they win today and advance, and then Philadelphia beats Chicago, and then Miami takes care of business, New York City is going to be on the road the rest of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good omen. That is for certain. Let's hope that there's at least 25,000 here. It's a beautiful day, as you say. Yes, it's a little cold, but it's not bad at all. Wrap up warm. You're not going to get wet out there, that's for certain. Not a chance of rain by the looks of it. And so, yeah, perfect conditions for football at the beginning of November, that's for sure.
Now, let's get to Zaha for a moment and his return to the lineup and what that might mean. Look, 10 goals, 10 assists, particularly productive in the final third of the season. Before he was suspended for that game, for game one of the series, he had scored in 3 consecutive matches and had a streak of 9 games with goal contribution. So obviously, whether he's begun to figure it out, it takes some players longer than others, but there's no questioning his effectiveness as a footballer.
Yeah, he on his day, if he truly fancies it, he will be a match for anybody. He will make it a very, very hard day for Tavon Gray. The good thing for us as with our NYCFC hat on is we know that Tavon Gray is one of the best, maybe not the best, but certainly one of the very best one-on-one defenders in MLS. There's nobody else in the NYCFC squad that I would rather be up against Wilfried Zaha in terms of pure defending than Tavon Gray. I think he could be a match for him. But yeah, you will know very quickly with Wilfried Zaha whether he fancies it or not. And it won't even take for the whistle to start. You'll be able to tell in the warm-ups whether he truly fancies this or not, because we've been there, we've done this, we've seen it before. And the last game that they lost 2-0 Charlotte here at Yankee Stadium just a few weeks ago, he didn't fancy it, and he was out here remonstrating and gesticulating.
Well, Tavon Gray at the training facility told all that would listen, and it was off mic, but it's certainly something to disclose, is that Wilfried Zaha complained from start to finish on September the 20th here at Yankee Stadium, and he had his penalty saved by Matt Fries, so he could have distracted himself because it was not a particularly good take either.
Yeah, he is a whiner. It's in his DNA. He was like it as a 17, 18-year-old kid at Crystal Palace when I played with him. Certainly trained with him every day for probably about a year. And he just has it. And you would expect somebody to grow out of it, Glenn. He's a multi-millionaire. He's been incredibly successful in everything he does on the football field.
447 games with – who plays that many games?
Yeah, absolutely. And being
with one team?
Successful and being the absolute hero, the icon of the Selhurst Park faithful. And yet he still bemoans so many decisions. And I'm with you, Glenn. I think he distracts himself more often than not. And it's a real shame because he's a lovely boy. He's incredibly good, incredibly talented, really skillful. just go out there and play your game. But he very rarely does it. I do think saying that though, when he's on and he's really on his game, absolutely in the pomp, his true form, he's just so good that he doesn't need to waste his time moaning. That's the thing.
So the word of the day, I can't believe how many times I get a word of the day in my inbox and how often it kind of relates to maybe what I'm doing that day. Tempestuous was the word.
Yes.
And that's Zaha. So then I went and said, and then looked up all the synonyms to tempestuous, turbulent, stormy, heated, uncontrolled, frenzied, temperamental, volatile, capricious. I like that. Yes, capricious.
Well, there you go. You got your thesaurus
I'm going to work.
out.
Yeah, I'm going to work that into the So you want to tune in for that because some of these I'm going to work into the actual commentary. And then quick-tempered. That's kind of lame. But capricious is excellent. But again, he contributes to the game in a way that has really helped Charlotte move into the 4th position in the East. Look, they had the most points they've ever had as a franchise, the most goals, the most wins, and he's a part of that.
Yes. Yeah, very much so. Look, this should be a really good game of football because Charlotte have got to come out completely differently to they did at home. It was a poor first half performance, as their manager Dean Smith said, down in Charlotte at the Bank of America Stadium. Expect a response, Glenn. I think that has to be one of the last things that Pascal Janssen says to his players. Expect a response. Expect Charlotte to be playing on the front foot and really determined and dogged in the first 10 minutes. You've got to weather that storm. They may be the away team, but NYCFC have got to weather the Charlotte FC storm, you would imagine, in the opening few minutes.
One other bit of news that I think we should certainly bring along. Patrick Vieira was sacked today by Genoa in Serie A. No wins in 9 matches. They're at the absolute bottom of the table in Serie A. And Patrick Vieira, who is so successful in helping to turn things around here at New York City FC, he joined the club in their 2nd year after missing the playoffs in the opening season under Jason Kreis. In 2016, 2nd in the East, 4th in the overall standings in MLS. 2017, 2nd in the East, 2nd in the overall standings in MLS. 2018, he left about mid-season, and Dome Toronto took over, but 3rd in the East, 7th overall in MLS. And so certainly he set the table for what was ahead for New York City.
Yeah, he did. It's just a shame to see that at every club he's been at since then, he's been an abject failure. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. It's factual. He's been relieved of his duty very, very early on in his stewardship, whether it's Nice, Strasbourg, Crystal Palace, now at Genoa. It's been a struggle for him, which is a real shame because what a lovely guy. He could never have enough time. He would always spend time with us.
Well, this is a message to Pascal Janssen, is that he's the only coach that after the season was over took us all out to dinner. So at a wonderful French restaurant, of course, in the city. So just a little message to Pascal. It's well, Pascal. Actually, Roberto Abramowitz and I have a wager with Pascal. Roberto, by the way, made a very good point on NYCFC Views Live. Was it yesterday or the day before our weekly podcast? He said Apple TV should have an isolated camera on Tavon Gray and Wilfred Zaha because they're And actually, if you could mic them up, that would be great. And then just decide what exactly you might be able to use.
Well, you've got a boy from the Bronx against a boy from South London. They've both grown up in hard places, and they both like to chat. Let's put it that way. Let's put it nicely. They both like to chat.
It's going to be a fun afternoon to watch them. Hopefully, just a well-played game. Let's see what happens. One final thought. Because it involves 3 former academy players that played against each other in the Bundesliga today. James Sands with St. Pauli and Joe Scally and Gio Reyna for Mönchengladbach, who got the best of St. Pauli 4-0. Sands started for St. Pauli, Scally for Gladbach, and then Reyna coming in as a reserve in the second half. But that's pretty cool to see those academy boys, although there are 3 players that are probably on the outside looking in when it comes to the U.S. men's national team. Yeah,
it would be a surprise if more than one of them was in the squad for the World Cup, I think, as we stand right now. But how wonderful the pinnacle of German football, the
Yeah.
Bundesliga, and there's 3 academy products
Oh.
all step on the field as well. I don't think all 3 of them were ever on the field at the same time, but certainly, as you say, Sands and Scally started. Rayner came on when Sands had already gone off. But that's awesome for NYCFC to have 3 players in a top flight Bundesliga game, homegrown players.
I'm closing the book on NYCFC pregame live. A little bit over a half hour with you before every game. We're on an hour before kickoff, every game, doing this live stream for you. Thank you so much for those of you who have joined. Coming up at 3:15 on the New York City FC radio network will be the pregame show. That's in about 11 minutes. NYCFC.com/radio or on the NYCFC app, or if you have the TuneIn app, it'll be on any of those. And then beginning at 3:30, Sirius XMFC, the football channel, will be carrying this game. And also, MLS Season Pass, if you're watching the game on Apple TV, there's a little drop-down feature where you can get the hometown radio commentary. I will tell you this, we are the only English-speaking commentary team that's in the stadium today. So, for what it's worth, if you have an opportunity to listen, we'd love it, because we just we both have a passion for the game. We like what we're watching. We're honest. That's about it. Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
No more bragging. No more bragging. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the game.